guys like
27.
let me talk, bro. Let me talk.
Hang on, because you've been talking. The 27, 21, I think in that age group, high school.
Oh,
There's 27.
there's persons that 20-year-old, 23, bro. Like,
there is, but
that because they ain't find women this age around that time. What we settle for?
Super fucked out, dude. But it's more likely you'll find a virgin in those age groups as opposed to if he was telling me he was 40 and still wasn't a virgin. Well, it's kind of harder to find that because the numbers just ain't gonna be there. But 21 to 23, you're gonna have a better chance.
But that type of conversation, right? If he's in a room, I would say just off the monkey, it's kind of defined, but most of us is at least 30 plus.
I mean, look, he doesn't have kids. It's okay for him not to want a woman with kids.
I don't have kids, bro.
He's also not a virgin, so it's weird to want a virgin.
Bro, wait. Hold on. So
I think it should be equally yoked. You don't have any kids, so you don't have to marry a woman with kids. But you're also not a virgin, so you don't have to marry a virgin. I think it should just be equal.
Bro, women want to experience men, bro. Men don't want to experience women, bro.
Oh, wait. Christian women, hang on, wait. Christian virgin women don't want experienced men that's been around. I'm sorry. I'm religious and I was a virgin and I got married and I did it all the time.
Y'all love bad boys. Women love bad boys for a reason, so I'm not going to experience that. What y'all say versus what y'all do is two different things, sister. Y'all say
I married a virgin like myself.
You should
y'all
have
say one thing and do the other.
Stop it, Black. Damn, boy. What's wrong with you, man? Calm down. Go ahead, Aisha.
No, I just married a virgin for like myself. I wasn't going around, and I'm religious. I wasn't looking around for a man that's been around sleeping with women, partying, clubbing. I was interested in a man that was family orientated, was a good provider, not in the sense that he had a lot of money, but would work hard for his family. Doesn't matter how little or how much he had. Those were the values that we've had. And I know many of the women like myself who've come from countries like India. My husband's Indian, and he has his sisters. They're all the same. Then they were virgins before they got married, and none of them were looking for well-experienced men that slept around and gone partying. I'm sorry, that's BS.
So look, right? You may be the exception, right? But
I'm not special.
Wives cheat on their husbands all the time. Wives get fucked all the time. There's wives that got husbands that work 12 hours shifts, and they cheat on them right now.
Not traditional virgin wives. Not traditional virgin religious wives. You're not going to hear that as much. That's crazy. So
wives cheat on their husbands all the time, man. You just the exception.
Black. You're not Black. Your listening skills is not that great. I was recommending the Proverbs.
All right, bro. So I ain't telling the truth, Corey.
Listen.
Wives gonna cheat on their husbands? Oh my,
they
Black. Proverbs 10 and 14. But this is what I want to say. Listening is a skill. You hear she has an accent. So what you're doing is you're blanketing.
Wait, whoa, you're wrong in a different way. Both of you got it wrong.
No. That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that her coming from a different culture or a different country, then you can't take your perspective from America and blanket it on the entire planet. That dog don't hunt.
You're right.
And that's what I said.
No, wait. Whoa.
Yeah,
the country don't matter. We are in the West, bro.
What she's saying is true for America too. The husband from the UK doesn't matter.
America and UK and Canada is all Western, bro. We all the same shit, bro. Like, it don't matter. Overseas is different. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not gonna lie, the Americans are a little bit more over-sexualized than over here in the UK.
That's not true. You are the over-sexualized too. Let's stop that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say.
There's Jezebels out there too.
Like, you guys have your teenager doing all this. Your teenagers doing
your royal family is over-sexualized. Your royal family, your king used to tell Camilla he wanted to be a tampon inside of her. Like your whole. Yes, look this up. Yes, your king used to tell Camilla he wanted to be a tampon inside of her. So your culture is over-sexual.
I need to have a look at that.
There's recordings of that. He was married to Diana and saying that to her.
Well, I mean, she likes
King Charles said that.
So there you go.
Are you being serious?
Yes, look at that. King Charles said he wouldn't be a tampon inside of her.
Oh my. That wasn't sexist? Like Kamala didn't take that as sexist?
I'm gonna Googling this.
Like I wonder what Kamala's reaction was to this, because I know it's funny to us, but I mean,
I've never heard of it. That's took you by surprise. Hey, let me have a look at this.
And that shows how disgusting white folks are. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Nah, that's crazy that you said that, bro. Alright, so now you generalizing people? Wow, that's great.
Yeah, wait a minute, Black. So I don't know if you paid attention or not, but you did it again when you said women, and you're not making sure you're putting in there some women. So I'm just saying, for conversation, the reason why you're going to continuously find yourself getting pushback is because of how you are structuring your words, how you are structuring your sentence, how you're structuring your narrative. And I will tell the room, let him have his preferences. If he wants to look for a virgin, then by all means, as long as he's saying he's not going to be punished in the process.
Ladies, so what's wrong with the world today, right? Number one, we have...
Well, what's wrong with the world today? Are rude, like how you just was rude and just came off a mic while I was talking and making a point. That's what's wrong with the world. But you can go ahead.
We live in a society where people never hold themselves accountable, right? Men were always held accountable. You know, like if a man got cocky and started being arrogant, he was always put back in his place and humbled, right? But now we stay in a generation where like women strategically choose irresponsible men to sleep with, open their legs to them, and become single mothers to. You know, but then they come back to the righteous, high valuable men and say, "All men ain't shit." You know, and every time a divorced woman explained what happened in the marriage, the man always sounded like a narcissist. He was abusive. You know, he was crazy. She had to get away from him. He was hitting on her. I mean, you know, like these women make these marriages sound like, you know, horror war stories. So, you know, and it's just crazy.
So let me.
Nowadays, men don't want to be married. Nowadays, men don't want to be married
27.
because we fear of like.
So now when I do it back to you, you can't take it. Right. You can't take it when I give it back to you, right? So what I'm saying is you're 27.
Lady, what? No,
because you cut me off several times, sir. And even when I was talking and I corrected you, you didn't take accountability and say my bad and then keep on going. You was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna just keep on going. I'm gonna steamroll through. Again, you can't even see the fault in yourself, but you want to point out everybody else's fault. You have a lot of growing up to do, young man. A lot. And then for you to sit on your throne and be so self-righteous, to sit here and say, "Oh, these women did this," you don't know that story. You don't know what they've been through or how they met who they met. And then you want to sit back and you want to criticize a bunch of women who made mistakes in their life, as if you haven't made mistakes yourself. Stop.
I mean, nobody perfect though. Like I never said.
Better yet.
But you're saying that.
But you have,
ladies. No, I'm not
just
saying
in
that.
here.
Now
That
when you
has
feel
been in a
ladies
marriage for 12 years, and you know, it had an anniversary right now. Like, what about all the stories of the people that make it to 30, 50 years? Where are those? You're not talking about them. You're talking about that group that didn't do it. So obviously they failed somewhere. So maybe you should be looking at where they failed. So when it comes your time, you have the 50-year and not the 5-year.
But
that should be the focus.
But we have to admit that something went wrong, though, because earlier, before like this welfare system stuff, right? We had a better, strong marriage, and we had like about 12% of children born out of wedlock, especially in the Black community. But now we have 78. So is it possible that women came to understand that, hey, we don't need a man. F them, right? We'll be independent. And now all of a sudden we have this kind of situation where, like, yeah, if a man is not, if a man is meant to be like an evil, like a Lucifer, guess what? They're not going to be around. I think that we all need to, yes, it's a man and a woman that need to come together and think about how they can make it work, but you can admit that there's something went wrong.
Yes, it happened on both sides because we were both affected. They were telling the women one thing, just like they were telling the men one thing. Like it was like supposed to be cool for us to have a bunch of different women taking dudes' wives. Like that was told to be cool, just like they were telling the chicks to be promiscuous. But as we know, that's not good. Like it don't work. It's not successful. The people living the lifestyle aren't successful.
No, the reason that more people are having children outside of wedlock is not so much due to, I don't know anything specific about men or women in change. Actually, it's more so the change in religion and people not valuing it as much, and more people are seeing it as just a piece of paper. So, socially, there's not much of a pressure to have to be married and have children. Whereas back even in the 80s, it was judged upon to have children before then. So. And it's going to get worse because people are becoming less and less religious. So that's the actual reason why people are having babies outside of wedlock.
But isn't that a problem though? When a woman decided that they don't want to be with a man, or a man decided that they're going to have a baby that they cannot support, and this child being is supported by general community through the welfare system, is that fair to people who actually have to raise the kids that they never met just because you decide to be responsible?
Okay, Mr. Mo, wait a minute, Aisha, because let me just jump in here real quick. I hear what you're saying. And for me, I'm a type of person, I try to figure out if we're going to go and look in the past, are we going to look in the past to find the solution? Okay. And I don't think that you are actually looking for a solution when you come in and you say, well, women decided that they were going to say, we don't want to get married anymore. Because as soon as you come to the table with that, you are now not really looking for a solution. I feel as though it's going to definitely become a fight. It's going to be a battle because now one group of people have to defend themselves against what's being said about them. So there's no solution there. So let me ask you before we continue on, and I turn the mic back over to Aisha, what is your intention? Because see, Black, he came in with this conversation. He was talking about his own anecdotal experience, even though he made it a we thing. But what is where are you coming from, Mo?
I'm coming from the perspective that society at large.
Are you looking for a solution? That's the question.
Yes, but you cannot find a solution unless you admit there's a problem that exists, right? So first we want to point out what the problems are, right? And then perhaps we can explore what went wrong and what solution that can be out there we can all grasp on, right?
Okay, so wait a minute. So when we are going in and we're going to talk about the past, we're not just going to talk about one group versus the other, but look at both sides, because in the history itself, the culture itself has also played a big part into this. So then when you start saying, well, women having these babies and now the welfare has to take care of them, again, that doesn't sound like you're being fair.
Okay, so let me use this as an example, right? You're suggesting that we don't look at a particular group, right? But actually, I think that when you look at the groups, it helps you analyze and see what maybe this group is doing better and what they said the group is doing wrong to better come up with a solution. Because let me use these two examples. Let's say African American community, right? And then Asian American community, right? So, for example, we know that Asian American community, they are the highest earners in the United States, right? and then you look at their family values, like the kids born out of wedlock and Asian Americans,
Were
it's
the
less than
Asian Americans
2%.
enslaved? Was
Exactly.
the Asian Americans enslaved and oppressed by the government?
So
Well, if that's the case, well, let's
All right,
compare.
so
no, but that's what I'm saying, right?
No,
Again,
I mean,
you
can I finish?
Mo,
Can I
let me
finish
ask
the
you a
point?
question. Let me ask you a question. Before I engage in a conversation, I have to understand who's on the other side that I wish to spend my time with, right? So I'm trying to get there. And I'm asking these questions because every time you come back to answer, you're not actually going back to the question that I asked. You're answering it, but you're answering it in a way that continues perpetuating what I'm saying that I don't want to do. So let me just go back real quick.
And repurposing the question. That's what
Exactly. Let me just go back really quick. Do you like math?
Do I like math?
Yes, math.
Yeah.
Are you good at math?
Uh, no, I won't say that I'm good at math, but yeah, I like math.
And that explains a lot for me because when you're speaking, just as you just did right there, you haven't started at point A. You already on this map and you are in the integer line and you're in the negative, right? And the reason why I'm saying that is because the fact that you're trying to compare two groups of people who did not start at the right point together for one to look better than the other. Now, if in fact you want to have a solution, we can say, hey, listen, let's see about what they're doing today that we can change and move forward versus looking back at the history of these people. Because when we look at the history, we both didn't start at the same place, period.
Okay, well, and I think that what the other gentleman said was suggesting that, okay, you can't really compare Asian Americans to Black Americans because Black Americans are disadvantaged in many different ways. They were slaves and all this and that, right? But you don't necessarily have to use the Asian Americans as black community. You can use Asian Americans as whites. Even when you look at whites.
You out further on that math problem. When you're solving for the unknown, what you do on one side of the equation, you have to do it on the other side of the equation. You're not a Black American, so how could you even speak on what our plight is, period?
Well, okay, so I thought this was a conversation how to figure out it might be a solution to issues that exist. So in order for me to speak on that, I have to be African American. I mean, it just sounds like you would have to
that means that you don't know the equation to be able to solve the goddamn problem. That's what the hell that
means. No, sir, that's not how it works. You don't have to.
You don't have the variables to do so.
Sure. You did say that. Okay, don't use the Black Americans. Let's look at the groups that are not African American. Since you claim that you don't African American, therefore you don't understand the circumstances. And I gave you an example of white American versus Asian Americans, and you still can't.
You sound Asian. Talk on Asian plight and what y'all did to overcome whatever plight that you did as an Asian.
No,
that's how you do that.
He's not Asian.
No, I'm not an Asian.
Okay, well, whatever your people are there, pardon me for that part there, whatever your people are.
But dude, what I'm trying to say is that you can absolutely look to different groups and see what group is doing right, what the other group is not necessarily doing wrong, but what can they improve on in order to. You cannot just say use the past as an excuse as why you're going to start where you're at.
Hey, can I ask a question, Mo?
Yeah.
White Americans are not doing so good compared to the other like immigrant groups. What do you have to say to white people? How can they improve and do better?
That's what I was gonna say. For an example, when we talk about Asian Americans do better than whites, is because Asian Americans continue to maintain traditional values, right? Whereas most of whites now, particularly in the rural area, they have abandoned those values, and the family are deteriorating, and therefore, they become more and more like the minority groups. So
wait, but the minority groups are doing better, right, than the actual Americans, right? Because the Native Americans are doing very bad, the Black Americans are doing very bad, and the white Americans are doing very bad compared to all the new immigrants who came into the country, right? I think all the data supports this. So, what do Americans need to do in order to perform as good as immigrants?
I think one of the main reasons some of the immigrants do better when they come into this country is because they're less focused on the past. They just try to use the opportunity, whatever that is comes their way. They see opportunity, right? And then they take advantage of that. Whereas,
so you're saying Americans are too focused on their history and their country, whereas the immigrants are not concerned about the American history or American past. Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't say that's true, Mo, because like even if you look at Indians, like they're extremely like in their past, but they seem to be doing very well in the whole family department, and that's more so to do with the fact that they have very strong set of morals, and then their society judges them heavily based upon those things. Same thing you could say for well, that's nearly all of Asia. India would be a part of it. All of Asia, they judge each other extremely harshly. And they mostly the reason why you see them be successful is because they're working to prove themselves to their own community and other people in there to be a part of it.
So one thing you guys understand, one thing real quick.
This is true. They're already
real quick, Doug. Hold on a second. I have a question though. Guys, why must we compare like immigrant groups who have a completely different mission and objective in America to the native people of that country? So, for example, like Indians or all immigrants have made a conscious decision to come to America, right? They came seeking something. What exactly are the rural Americans living all over? Like, how can you compare that mindset towards immigrants, right? At the exact same time, why can't we compare the people of a country to another people of a country? So why can't we compare like Indians from India living in India to Americans living in America? Why can't we compare those?
You can compare it. I'm confused.
Yeah, you can. There's nobody said you can't do that.
But most Indians in the United States are coming into the United States. Most Indians in the United States are coming to the United States having either to go to undergrad or having already completed undergrad in India to go to grad school, or have already completed grad school in India to do a postdoc or for a job after completing all of their education.
Yeah, because they've got a shitty economy. But they have different issues to you.
They're not representative of Indians in India, right? Like most Indians in India don't have like graduate degrees, whereas most Indians in the United States do have graduate degrees, right?
Depends on what part. India's a large country.
Most Indians in the United States have graduate degrees. There's no caste, right? Like Indians in the United States are like much more homogenous. There are entire ethnic populations in India that don't exist in the United States. We're not selecting everybody. Like these people are like the top of the top in terms of like a lot of them like graduated from IIT in India, which if you know, IIT is actually more selective of a school to get into than Harvard in terms of total applications, right? Like these are not representative populations of their countries and homes. So it doesn't make sense to compare them to an unselected population in the United States.
But it sounds like you agree the fact that values and morals and education and family values, all those things help people advance and help people do better in our society, right? Sounds like that's what you're saying, right?
What I'm saying is these people are. Have you like interacted with these? Like I work in biotech. I interact with them. A lot of them.
Where do their values come from?
They're not like most Indian immigrants.
Where do American values come from?
Most of the Indian immigrants are already rich people now. Like that's the point. They're not. It's not really like upward mobility like that. Like I have Indian coworkers who had servants back in India. Like they were rich people.
Wait, but Mo, listen, Mo.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, for example, Black Americans in Ghana are doing better than the local Ghanaians. Why is that? Is it because of their American values or
economy
helping them be more successful?
economy.
Exactly. But at the same time, how can you compare a small group of 10,000 Black Americans to 40 million Ghanaians, right? So why would we take their median income and shit like that and compare it with American?
Alex, like the thing is that the point of this conversation was we was talking about like family and family values. Sorry. Family and family values and how these foreigners have like why is it sorry.
Well, does it make sense, right? If I'm a foreigner going to a foreign country,
because the Indian population of the United States is not like the Indian population of India. Right? So you guys have a fundamentally different immigration system than us. You're getting a fundamentally different class.
no, but answer a question. Answer a question, bro. It's deeper than that, man. What they don't want to factor in is when you migrate into a foreign country. If me and my wife take my son to a foreign country, we have no support system over there. There's no grandparents or cousins or aunts and uncles, to back us up. We are by ourselves. So we're going to raise our child completely different than how the locals of that country raise their child who have a support system. My child can only rely on their parents for their survival, and we're going to show them and teach them that to be careful. So of course immigrants in America are doing the same thing. They're a tight-knit family because they don't have any support system around them. They don't have any much family around them either. As an American, my gosh, all my family is here. My cousins, my aunts, my uncles, my grandparents, great-grandparents, everyone is here. So if I decide to leave my parents home because they're acting up and being strict, I'm gonna go live with my cousin or my grandmother. I have all these support systems around me, whereas immigrants just don't.
So hang on. So we went starting off this conversation with that immigrants, some immigrants in certain groups maybe do better, whatever in maths, and some may do better in like having their family and their traditions and all of that. Are you saying that those Americans, so that their values are different from Americans, but that they're more family oriented because they have nobody? Is that what you're essentially saying?
Yeah, it's that, and they're in a foreign
that's not
country.
true. And I'll tell you how.
They're in a foreign country. So whenever you're in a foreign country, you would have a completely different outlook than the locals of that country. If I go to India, I'm probably going to be more successful than 75% of the Indians there.
You would be, yeah, but that doesn't matter.
Does that mean my values are superior? Are my values more superior when I come from America? Exactly.
Your dollar is more superior.
And my mindset.
That's why you would live like a king over there.
He's describing survival when the pressure that is on, where you don't have idle time and you have to build and you have to imagine that anthill getting kicked.
I know that's difficult, no doubt in my mind, but what he's saying
is not difficult. We're not in survival mode, Asia.
Because they've come into a different country and they have no family versus the other. And actually, I can tell you because I've experienced both. I've lived in India for a month. I've seen, and my husband, by the way, he was born in India. He grew up in India. He migrated later in life to the UK, and and I know their values from over here versus over there. It's identical, and the reason why they're so family orientated, it comes down to marrying off their daughters and blah 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 blah. Like there's a long thing with it, and that you would see 9 of them sleeping in a bed. Not only would you see that in India, you would see that also here. It doesn't change; they're consistent with it. It has nothing to do with them migrating.
Hold on, wait. United States, that's totally different. They don't live like that. They don't sleep like that.
They do sleep like that, and they do live like that.
No, they don't.
In the United States?
No, they don't.
They do.
Indian and Chinese immigrants in the United States have an immigration flow that looks nothing like any previous group of immigrants to the United States. They are disproportionate. They're not moving to city centers. They're not moving the Chinese to Chinatowns mostly. they're moving to wealthy suburbs straight from India because they're getting these jobs that pay very high salaries. No, Americans are not getting low-income Indians coming to the United States. Indian first-generation
That's not what I said. That's not what I said at all. I was talking about family values, and now you're talking about their income.
1 second, but you don't live in the United States.
Please stop conflating. Is that about
You don't live in the United States. You don't. So in the
I have
United States,
relatives in the United States.
Indian immigrants, like the first generation, have a higher rate of graduate degree attainment than regular Americans have of undergraduate degrees. They are highly educated before they come, right? And people with that level of education ain't poor. They're not even working class. They are wealthy. Their median income of a first generation Indian immigrant is like $100K per family. These are not poor people.
I never said they were poor people. Anyway, how did you conflate from what I
If
said?
you're living 9 in a house, you're poor in the United States. I know that people in the UK are much poorer than you, but people don't live like that in the US. So if you're living 9 in a house, you're poor in the US.
To what Doug is saying, Aisha, and what Aisha is saying, is the synergy is this here. The value system that they have from their homeland, they do not necessarily maintain that entirely when they come to America. And we've seen this firsthand. They get an IT job, that's what he's talking about, they get an IT job, they're already coming over here, either with an IT job that's at least 6 figures, or maybe a doctor or something that's 6 figures, and they assimilate the culture of America, at least in part, if not eventually in whole. That's what Doug is describing.
Okay, hang on.
Well, on top of that, Aisha,
I never gone into speaking about income or anything of such. I never stated that they were poor, living from some type of a jungle coming to India. No, those Indians aren't coming. You see Indian from upper class in India, from like Punjab region coming over to the. I never even gone into the details of that. And second of all, no, not necessarily all of them are 6-figure earning doctors. My husband, he's definitely not a doctor. I can tell you that.
hold on. Let me see.
And second of all, and now you're going into this all-American crap. Hang on, I have family from America in different parts over there that came from India and migrated. And actually, the first one that needs to get in needs to be the doctor. The rest of them just needs to be related to the doctor.
Right. Let me say real quick. Hold on, real quick. Let me say this for a second, man. Right. But listen, man, Aisha, man, and Mo, I think that you guys need to have more genuine conversations and try to understand that immigrant groups, especially those that are hand selected by the U.S. government, which means that Indians have to apply for a certain type of visa, business, student, work visa, whatever, and then someone from our country needs to give them the yay or the nay, right? So, which means this Indian needs to show that they have money to support themselves, they're coming for education, they're driven, they have a reason to be in this country. So you can't compare the mindset of people who went through. Hold on, real quick, Mo. You cannot compare mindsets. You cannot compare a immigrant to a person native to a country that has no reason to apply for citizenship, to go through that process, to raise money from their community, to show a immigration officer why they want to be here. More importantly, there's no fear of deportation or loss or failure. We don't have that because we have families here, which means that if I feel at one thing, I can probably fall back on my family, my cousins, my